Hello, my name is Imran Ahmed, and welcome to my Design Challenge presentation. I'm excited to present this to you. There's a lot to cover, so I'll get right into it. The purpose of this Design Challenge is to implement the use of a business communication platform, Microsoft Teams, for IT companies in order to enhance the communication, collaboration, and the use of tools and features of Teams between employees. I'm specifically targeting only IT companies for making this training program, as I've observed from my job that it's difficult to work with my coworkers with the application that we've been using. We're working remotely now because of the pandemic. Due to coronavirus, for me personally, working as a government contractor for an IT company, Microsoft Teams became our primary communication tool since early this year at the request of the government because Teams is an effective application with a variety of features that can improve our communication and work lifestyle, especially when working remote. Before the coronavirus happened, the previously used communication platforms like Skype and Slack for us were useful, but there was not much collaboration between us employees when using them. At my job, when we transitioned to use Teams, there was not much training and it was all self-learning. This training program is designed for the employees and the learners, that IT company, to understand how to communicate effectively with their colleagues by gaining knowledge on the provided features by Teams. The learning context will be both formal and informal, taught through Teams itself. The learners will learn through a formal lesson with the instructor in a scheduled session, along with classmates, and informally by looking back at the recorded lectures on their own time afterwards. So the course will follow by the learners online through Microsoft Teams and Outlook, who will be provided with a username and password to log into their account on Teams. By using any mobile computer, laptop, or any other devices with an internet connection. The target audience will be any IT company employees coming from a different age, race, ethnicity with a variety of knowledge and experience. The learning goals for the learners are to effectively improve their communication with their coworkers by gaining general technical knowledge on how to use Teams. That will be Module 1. Have experience with the tools and features that Teams provide that can be used in their work life. That will be Module 2. And the use of setting up the multi-authentication security of their account in order to prevent cyber attacks from happening using Outlook. That will be Module 3. So there will be 3 modules that will be taught by an instructor using Teams with activities during and after the lesson. So before COVID, companies like the one I work at currently allowed employees to work remotely when needed. From personal experience, using mainly Skype and Slack as a communication applications were useful to message each other or share our screens with one another. Since the impact of COVID, an application like Teams has been fairly effective to use for virtual work environments. Satya Nadella tutored Microsoft Teams as the only tool that combines meetings, calls, and chats and collaboration in one place, given that it integrates with the rest of Office 365 Cloud Suite. It combines all the features and tools of other applications provided into one. Teams have the best multi-authentication functionality that prevents cyber attacks. After the start of the pandemic, government requested all contracting companies to use Teams. Although not a lot of public-private IT companies are using Teams, they are still using previously used communication platforms, Slack and Skype, for example. So I'm going to talk about Teams, like the features they have to offer that can be a great use for training sessions. The features that Teams can provide that can help ensure the lessons are being taught properly in each modules and for effective communication to take place. Students can, set meetings through calendar, even instructors too, if needed, but can join meetings through other places. The meetings that Teams support can be up to 10,000 people within and outside your organization. Every meeting has recording functionality so participants can refer back to the session if needed later. As soon as you create the meeting, you can start chatting with the other participants about the agenda, share the files that you need to review with them, keep track of the meeting notes and to-do list. You can easily create Word, Excel, or PowerPoint documents in Teams to immediately share it with coworkers instead of sending it by email. Teams also includes the integration with third-party tools. The students can individually message another person to another group. They can either call either of them as well. Public, private channels can be created too. So what I've noticed over time was with my work I've seen coworkers of mine having issues to get familiar with Teams as the transition happened to work in the office while working remotely. Lots of coworkers did not know how to set up meetings and how to use certain tools and features that Teams provide to make our work easier. There was no tutorial or lessons to help us comprehend it quicker, and new features were being installed to Teams in every new release. No training was provided to get familiar with this. So this is why I'm proposing a training program for all IT companies to effectively be familiar with their tools and features and set up a multi-authentication factor just to have the experience with it. So prior knowledge, learners will be pre-assessed before the start of the course on their general knowledge and personal experience of their daily use common communication application, experience and knowledge of their messaging applications preferable, and skills from using tools like GitHub, Jira, Outlook, etc. Before starting the module, another assessment will have to be taken from the students so the instructor can see how much knowledge the students currently have about those topics in the upcoming module. A readiness to learn behavior is essential to perform well and successfully complete each lesson of all the modules. After completion of each module, there will be an assessment to ensure the students have successfully learned the material and accomplished the learning goals. So some instructional strategies I thought can be applied to the design challenge are experiential and self-directed learning. So for experiential learning through each lessons per module, students will be collaborating with their classmates and instructors during the lesson. They will ask questions with them and participate in the activity with their classmates during and after the lesson. Modules can contain group and individual activities. They'll basically be going through the Kolb's experiential learning cycle by gaining those experiences from collaborating with the students and instructors through the lessons and activities. They can also message them and have their own call with their group individually to create more learning experience for each other. I believe self-directed learning is a good fit for training. All lessons will be recorded, and if either somehow a student missed the lesson or is not there for some reason, they'll be able to go back and watch it at their own time. If they're not at the scheduled lessons for some reason, they can watch the recorded lesson on their own, where they can learn the material and practice the activities on their own. The adult learning theories, I believe, that can be applied to this training program are called experiential learning cycle, Levinson's adult development theory, Wagner's community of practice. I'll start from the top and work my way down. So when students are in the start of the training program, in the lesson itself, they'll actually be having experience listening into the lecture, asking questions to the instructors, chatting with the individuals or group members about the lesson or activity, and working with them in the activity itself. Then once the student submits their work to the instructor, they'll have discussion with the instructor with critique feedback about how they did well, what they did wrong, and how to improve from it, etc. This will help make the students more aware and learn from this experience that they encountered through this lesson from the mistakes they've learned. Obviously, everyone makes mistakes, and this will help them to plan out and try to become better from those mistakes they've done, where they learn from it. Because the way we learn better is from our mistakes. These activities will help learners identify their learning styles by gaining knowledge and experience through the lesson activity. They'll work on their own after the module to check if they can accomplish it and create memory aids for future use. The second adult theory I decided to use is Levinson's adult development theory. The reason why I decided to talk about this theory is because for the activities in each module, I'll be using this age groups in this theory towards those activities. In the first module, the activities will be in the same age group based on the Levinson theory. It'll be an instructor's job to check if the learner works better alone or with the same age group, or may work better with different age groups. The following modules will be organized in different age groups. Learners will realize their readiness to learn in those lessons, and from the activities, they will encounter a teachable moment. Working with others, whether they are in the same age or different age, can give the beneficial experience to grasp new knowledge from each other, especially the ones who are the experts and have prior knowledge about it. The last theory I wanted to talk about was Wagner's community of practice. What everyone does not see about Microsoft Teams is that it was set up to bring everyone closer together as a community that contains adult learners with a variety of levels of backgrounds and experience, where they will grow by gaining knowledge and experience from one another. In the group, one person or more can be an expert in a specific topic and can help each other to learn better. So here's a mock-up I made of how this training program would look like when communicating with each other on Teams through the Teams channels. As you can see, here's a mock-up of how it looks like. One whole organization would be set up, and there's one right here saying "Get to know Microsoft Teams training program" as the title, and there are these other groups here. The other one I made was groups, and in the groups there's for each of the student groups, and in group 2 a meeting was held earlier. You can see in the chat that students are communicating with each other on when their activity needs to be done, and instructors are always there for the students to have their questions fulfilling answered. Here's another one about how the chatting will look like. And this is on Teams, their chatting feature. Groups can be made, their group name can be renamed, and users can message with each other publicly on the groups or privately. Groups can be made either group public or private. They all have the calling, video calling, and screen sharing functionality to use with another student or another groups they are in. And here's another one that's a great use for this program. So this is from the instructor's view, just to note that. This is how a Teams meeting would look like. In here, this is where the lesson would take place. Instructors, from their view, they will have the capability of once the activity, once the lesson is done, or mid-lesson, then they can click on the Open Rooms button. So then those students that are assigned in each rooms can go in there, and the lesson will be paused, and the students can work with the group members to start working on the activity. For individual activities, they will still have their own room, and they can work in there. So here's what it would look like in the breakout room. They all can just chat with each other, share their screen, or all of them can draw it on the board on the steps that needed to fill the activity. Once they're done, they can leave and send to the instructor what they have done, or invite them in to show it. So feedback. One of the nice features that Teams has is creating channels. The idea I had was once students have finished the lesson and activities, the instructor can create a feedback group channel and share his or her critique feedback within the group. The instructor can also set a meeting to call and talk with them about their work shown in the activity. If it was just for a student, it would be better to talk with them over a call or private messaging them about it. When thinking about how to assess and evaluate the instruction or training, I thought it would be best to approach it to gain both the students and instructor's perspective. Normally, it would be best to track the group and individuals' participation in the lesson and activities right at the start of the program. This will help show how much participation the learners actually learned from this training over time. Another approach I thought of was reading or hearing feedback from instructors about the students and groups regarding their attitude and behavior in those lessons and activities. Then I would give an evaluation to the student and instructor about what they thought of this program and about each other. Interviewing with students about the instructors and instructors about the students after the program will be the next best step. All these approaches will help give a better representation of how this training actually performed versus how it was expected to perform. And when I thought about transfer to other contexts, I was thinking of using this training program to other non-IT companies. So all different kinds of companies can be using this program. The reason is that it will help a lot for them to improve their communication, which can lead to a better work life for them by making their job a lot easier with using Teams. And it has made my life a lot easier and quicker to perform. But the main thing is gaining the experience, learning and gaining experience from this training program. Employees will be able to learn and gain experience from this program and apply those experiences using Teams to future use in other job professions, their current job, or even in their education if they want to. That's it. That's pretty much it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. Thank you.